Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, indeed. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, in whichever realms of existence you are, whatever mind states you're in, whatever conditions you're in. As always, you are welcome to my channel. So yeah, just here in Cornwall this weekend at a really lovely place called Cahays. It's actually spelled more like Cairhays, actually. But anyway, which has a really interesting history to it. But anyway, I thought it was a fitting place, especially with the castle. It's not a, it's built like a castle. It's not an actual like wartime, like actual historical wartime castle. It was built much later, just to look and be in the style of a castle. But anyway, I just thought it was a fitting place to do this video because this is kind of a redo of a video that I made, and I decided to take it down and redo it for a number of reasons. But so yes, time's almost caught us, my friends. That's a quote referencing a movie called Highlander from the mid-80s, starring Christopher Lambert, or Christopher Lambert. Anyway, I think he's French, but anyway, playing a Scotsman, which is always interesting. Anyway, there's lots of jokes about that amongst the. There's always a little comment or joke about that amongst the Highlander fan community. Anyway, yeah, the quote is from a character in that film that meets up with the Highlander at some point, and it's yeah, that's something he says to him. It's in regards to the gathering. So it's kind of the end of the age for these immortals in this movie, just without getting too much into the plot if nobody's familiar with it. It's kind of the end of the age. The last remaining immortals will now, battle to the last, and only one will be, there'll only be one immortal left, and then they get this prize that is never fully defined in either the movie or the television show. There's some characteristics of it, but anyway, so it's kind of an end of an age, and he's saying, it's time's almost caught us, my friend, kind of, in reference to that it's the final gathering of the last remaining immortals who now need to fight each other, and only one man standing in the end, and that sort of thing. And in the fan community and gaming community, the mythology of it is that the cycle then begins again, that new immortals will then start being born, and they can be trained by the last remaining immortal from the previous cycle, which lasts thousands of years. Anyway, but so yeah, time's almost caught us, my friend, and that's just that's kind of how I feel about aside from all the immortality aspects of things, that's kind of how I feel about Mappo. I thought it was a fitting kind of phrase to apply to how I feel in these times in Mappo, particularly the last sort of several years, with changes in the world, wars everywhere. We're pretty much basically in World War III at the moment, and and there's all kinds of issues. There's all kinds of predictions and issues with the food supply. So there's going to be there's going to be food shortages. famine, more pandemics. They've been predicting more pandemics for a long time. And that, often saying that the last one we just had in 2020, until about 2022 was just a trial run. That was just a practice run for some very, for a much worse. A much worse world pandemic coming, or pandemics coming in the near future, actually. So there's that, and then there's also the whole increasing extreme weather. Now, some of that, well, we'll just say caused by various things. Let's just say it that way, without getting into any specifics there. But just, there's extreme weather happening. There's, now some of that is just, there's hype in the media about it, but some of it is, there are just extreme weather going on. And there's also, earthquakes becoming more and more catastrophic and more recent, and also happening in areas that, like, it hardly ever happens. Earthquakes, it just happened in my home state, actually, in the States, not too long ago, very recent. So yeah. And there's all, and there's the damage we've done to the planetary environment as humans. There's also just, astronomical things going on, things in the solar system going on, like there's the solar minimums and maximums, and then, the cycles of that. And we're going through another, coming up on a, they're calling it a grand solar minimum. So that's causing changes throughout the solar system, but also with Earth, obviously, it's going to continue to, there's going to be, some impact of that. And there's, just how polarized everything's become, how both by design and by just, we're in Mapo, people just becoming less wise and more aggressive, less wise, more foolish, less compassionate, more selfish, and just, it's fight or flight is becoming, that's it, there's no in-betweens, it's just, that's all. So, you've got all those factors, and all that's kind of talked about, in the Buddhist sutras and by our Dharma masters, about how the age of Mapo is going to be. How, first of all, the age, the five turbidities age is going to be, which started a long time, long before this. So it's already been bad before Mapo, and then, and also, the traits of Mapo. And all these things I've been talking about have all been talked about, that's what it was to come, was predicted, was explained to us by our Dharma masters and by the Buddha, Shakyamuni. So, that's the age we live in, and very recently, and the reason I'm kind of feeling this way and feeling this sentiment of, time's almost caught us, my friend, is that we're at a very perilous point in this Mapo. I mean, we're in the 6th 500-year period, really, and since the past the parinirvana of Shakyamuni Buddha, and so it's pretty bad, and we're and within Mapo, things. I won't get into that. There's a whole thing of, there's mini cycles within the kalpa. So we're in the descending kalpa. It's been descending for an awful long time, and Mapo is just the tail end of that, descending side of the kalpa. The descending kalpa, and then gets really bad, and then all kinds of things. I've talked about this in my videos and in an episode of Chaku Brothers, but so I won't get into that too much now. But but even within a descending kalpa, there's in any kalpa really, there's many cycles of the same thing that happens. So the kalpa goes down, there's a descending kalpa, and then there's an ascending kalpa. So the declining kalpa, the descending kalpa, that's where basically beings are becoming, as born into the human realm anyway, are becoming less and less virtuous when they're born in. Each kind of generation is less virtuous, less wise, less compassionate, less and more selfish, more full of the three poisons, more increase in the three poisons, and more increase in just horribleness, basically. And then that descends until it gets to the worst it can be, and then then there's an increase in when beings are born in samsara in the human realm. There's an increase. Oh yeah, also the in the declining kalpa, the length of time, that the average length of time that humans live decreases as well, until it's a very short period of time, like 10 years old is the eventually in Mappo, that's what it descends to. We mutate until we there's just a 10-year lifespan, and that's your full lifespan, full, like lifespan of everything that happens in a human life happens within 10 years. So you age really quickly and rapidly and die at 10. So anyway, but so it declines over the declining kalpa over a very long time, gradually, and then it increases so the ascending kalpa, when beings are born into that, are born with each generation with more and more merit, more and more wisdom, more and more compassion, more and more good things, good, more and more of the less harmful. So there's that's what's called the ascending kalpa, and the lifespan increases. The average lifespan of humans increase. And then it goes up, and that's for a very long time. It's descending for a very long. So this Antara kalpa that we're in is descending for a very long time, and then it's arising for a very, very long time as well. And within, now the reason I'm saying that, within those cycles, there's like mini cycles of that happening, so things will, even within a descending kalpa, things will go up for a while and down, but always, it's kind of, 3 steps down, 1 step up, 3 steps. Do you see what I mean? So it's things might go through and it goes through a mini cycle of ascending and declining and ascending within that kalpa of things. So things could get good for a while, but then they get really bad again. And it's almost like if you look at, like, if I can do this, so if you could see so if it's going down, and then it might plateau for a bit, it might go up a little bit, but it doesn't go way up. It just kind of goes up a bit and then goes down again, way down, and then up again. Do you see what I mean? So there's a cycle. There's cycles within the cycle, like mini kalpa, very, very small mini kalpas that happen. So even in Mappo, things might get good again. There might be a good, but not hugely great, but there might be a bit, but it will descend. It will always descend. It all depends on the collective karmic causes of in conditions of beings and the same, individually. So anyway, right, having said all of that, right now we're going through a pretty bad cycle. If you're looking in the world, that's the reason I say all this, is it's going down pretty rapidly now. We've stepped off the last several years. It's like stepped off a cliff. It's down a very steep slope, as far as I can see, really badly. And that's what we're in right now. We're in that time, in that space. And the causes and conditions right now are pretty grim. And to the point where I just personally, I don't think I'm going to be alive much longer. I have no plans for anything to take, my own life. I can't do that. Couldn't do that. Even if I want to do, that's just not in my karmic causes and conditions. That's just not something, that I could ever do. Even at times in the past where the distant past where that has been thoughts, I never really had any real plans to do it, nor could I do it, for various reasons, which I won't get into now. But basically because of Buddhism, I couldn't do it, because of what I understand about the teachings and about that, and that really is ingrained, is really in parts of my psyche now. So but anyway, what I'm saying is, I don't think, because of the causes and conditions of the world right now, the way the state of the world right now, I just, one way or another, I don't think lots of us, a very large number of us, many of us are going to be alive within the next 2 to 3 years, maybe, or within the next several years. I think a lot of us are just going to be dying off from various things, from all the things I mentioned earlier, from pandemics, from the World War III, which we're already in. That's just going to increase. That's just, we're bleeped with all that stuff going on. I think there's going to be civil wars everywhere. There's been civil wars for a long time in Mapo, hasn't there? But it's just going to kick off everywhere in places you wouldn't have, people wouldn't dream of it. Now it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And there's going to be civil wars. There's going to be, for various reasons, that is, both political and cultural civil wars within countries, within regions. And that's, again, that should be no surprise. That's been going on in Mapo for a long time. That's just par for the course for Mapo, but it's just going to be across the entire earth now. It's just all going to be civil conflicts, and world war between regions and countries and things, and like I said, pandemics, more and more extreme weather caused by various things, let's just put it that way, and even weaponized stuff like that. There's all kinds of weaponized stuff going on now. Let's just say things that people just wouldn't think are going on. Just they are. Come on, anybody with any amount of perception knows that. I'm not going to go too far into any rabbit hole with that, but just, there's so much, everything's weaponized now. Politics is weaponized, lawfare is weaponized, the law, is weaponized, and that's again, all these things have been that way for a long time. It's just now it's everywhere. It's, it didn't use, it was to a lesser degree in certain parts of the world than others, but now it's just everywhere. The laws, psychology has been weaponized, the weather has been weaponized, everything is freaking weaponized now, everything. They're trying to weaponize animals, hybridization, all kinds of stuff. They're trying to do all kinds of really horrible crap. They've been doing it for a long time, but just anyway, and so, people are going to be dying from, like I said, war, pandemics, civil conflicts. There's, like I said, about the food issues that are coming in the near future, near years, in the next couple of years. That's going to start happening. Oh yeah, energy problems, there's going to be blackouts, and there's various causes of all that, but everything's going to break down. And so just lots of us. And, so that's why I say, time's almost caught us, my friend. And, all of this just makes me naturally turn to the Dharma. It's not like a, there's a kind of increase in the urgency from it. Obviously it makes you go, okay, but in a natural way. It just kind of urgently points me toward the Dharma. And it just, yeah, the Dharma's right, and it just makes me want to just naturally more immerse myself in it. And understand it as in whatever limited capacity I can, being a bombo in my own karmic causes and conditions that limit me. But So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say about this. Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, whichever realms of existence you are, whatever mind state you're in, whatever conditions you're in. As always, you're welcome to my channel. Just saying my intro again because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to splice the two parts together of this video, or just to or if I'll just do them as two separate videos. But again, if I'm not able to, don't have the time, or can't splice them together, as it were, I'm continuing my video about that's inspired by the phrase, or well, inspired by these times really that we live in of Mapo. But times almost caught us, my friend, from the Highlander, one of the characters in the Highlander movie from the mid-80s, spoke those lines, and it was about the, kind of, it's kind of fitting because it was kind of the end of the age for those characters in that movie, without going into too much of an explanation about that. Anyway, so time's almost caught us, my friend. And I thought, because it's inspired by the Highlander movie, this would be a fitting place to make this video at Cahays, or Cahays, it's spelled phonetically speaking. I think it's pronounced Cahays, in Cornwall, with the whole castle here. This wasn't really a battle time castle. This was built by the one of the families later on to look like a castle. It was a mansion to look like a castle, basically. But still, anyway, it'd be a fitting set for an episode, I think, and just the amazing views. So anyways, as often occurred in the movie and the television series. Anyway, so yes, I got to I was talking about Mapo, and I was talking about the events, that are happening in the world right now, and that we're kind of in a really, even for Mapo, we're in a pretty rapidly dropping off point, with basically already being kind of in World War III as we speak, and or the beginnings thereof, and pandemics that are coming, and food crises, and famine and food shortages coming, and energy shortages coming, and power outings and EMPs coming, and it's in the next two, 3 to several years, many of us in the human realm are going to be dying off, just from various means. It's just, that's just my take on it. That's my perception. Obviously, I'm a bamboo, and obviously I have my own karmic causes and conditions limiting my perceptions, but that's kind of how I see it. And what I'm trying to say about all this is that, that's why the phrase, time's almost caught us, my friend, is almost caught up with us. Time's caught up with us. For those of us living in this age, in this era of Mapo, and what I was trying to say, what I started to say in the previous video, is that it kind of naturally turns my thoughts toward the Dharma, naturally turns my thoughts toward, makes me naturally want to immerse myself further in the Dharma, further understand whatever limited way I'm able to the Buddhist teachings, and the teachings of our Dharma masters, and the teachings of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. It makes me all the more both want to be part of that, immerse myself in it, understand it, listen, study, and also very grateful that I have those, because nothing else explains all of this. Nothing. There's no religion, no spiritual path, no secular path, no science, no social science, no philosophy that explains this age, and explains these times, and explains our provisional existence of samsaric existence, as well as Buddhism. Just hands down, nothing. There's just nothing. There's nothing. It just isn't. There's some things that kind of approach it, kind of, somewhat get there, but not in the way. Buddhism far out surpasses uh, all of those things in terms of explaining this and putting it in perspective and helping you understand it and cope and have great hope. Ironically, there's great hope because of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, because we know that Amida Buddha's, because we're taught of and know Amida Buddha's vow, is true and real. Then we know that at the end of this life, we're going to be born as a Buddha. We're going to be born in the Pure Land as a Buddha, or unborn, as I say, unborn into the Pure Land as a Buddha, and then come back and help all beings in multiple Nirmanakaya forms, and of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all sorts, so, or even just causes and conditions, Buddhas can be born as, which is a whole nother amazing, mind-blowing concept. But anyway, well, so I was saying, so yeah, it naturally turns, makes me grateful, makes me hopeful, weirdly. I have zero hope for samsaric existence, actually. That's the thing. Like, it's this kind of paradox, given the times we live in, given the state of samsaric existence as we're experiencing it right now, in this dropping off point that we're in. I have zero hope in samsaric existence, zero hope in politicians, zero hope in any world leaders, zero hope in anything but Buddhism. Zero hope that there'll be anything to solve any of it. Zero, none. You know what I mean? Like, I have zero confidence, zero hope in any, like, political solution, any social solution, any law solution, any governmental solution, any corporate solution, any GMO solution, or NGO, GMO, as I say, GMO, sorry, NGO solution, and non-governmental organization solutions. That's what I meant, not GMO. I meant sorry. Yeah, and I have no confidence in that either. GMO, genetically modified, whatever. I think that's what that stands for, GMO. Yeah, genetically anyway, I have no confidence in that stuff either. Genetically modified foods somehow are going to solve the food crisis coming, or just suddenly make everybody have what they need. No, there's just nothing. There's nothing that's going to do that. There's no path. There's no path to that. So I have zero hope in that sort of thing. But I have 100% full hope in Buddhist teachings, in Buddhist teachings about the world, about what we're going through, about what the future holds, about the only solution, which is Amida Buddha's primal vow, Amida Buddha's name, Amida Buddha's transference of his merit to us. That's the only solution. There is no other. I have zero. But in that, I have tons, oodles, abundance of hope in that. Just no hope in any solution in samsaric existence. None. Not for me personally, in my personal existence, other than Buddhism. Yeah, Buddhism is the solution for my life. Nothing else in this samsaric existence is, unless it's something that's guided by a Buddha or a Bodhisattva, or is arranged by a Buddha or by Amida Buddha's, working, or the workings of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas behind the scenes doing that, on at the behest, at the praise, at the alignment with Amida Buddha. So yeah, if that's happening in something, and there's numerous things like that happening, then yeah, I have confidence in that. But other than that, zero solution. There's no other solution to things for my life or for the world. For on the individual level or collective level, the only solution is Buddhism. The only solution is Amida Buddha's call, Amida Buddha's name, Amida Buddha's primal vow, Amida Buddha's power, Amida Buddha's working. Other than that, that's it. And that's what these times, that's what this urgency, that's what these times, guides me to, points me to, gives me hope in, makes me want to be a part of it, that sort of thing. So it's kind of like, there's the 4 things that turn your thoughts toward the Dharma, those teachings about the 4 things that turn your thoughts toward the Dharma. It probably fits into one of those categories, or is similar to that idea, or similar to that teaching. That Mappo and these events just quite naturally make me think of the Dharma. Everyday events, when I see the news, when I hear something at work, when I see how someone is behaving, when I see, when something happens with me and I see how I am behaving, when I see, anything, pretty much in these times of Mappo, it turns my thoughts toward the Dharma, and that's Amida. That's Amida's working. That's Amida's transforming of my mind stream. Not my own. Ooh, we got some animal realm action going on over here with some, I think, pheasants. Oh, they're ducking around. I don't know if you can see them in the picture, but anyway, yeah. So, yeah, it's just a natural turning toward that, toward those ends, toward the, toward Amida, toward the Dharma, toward Buddhism. So it's kind of a natural sense, I guess, this natural sense of urgency, a natural sense of gratitude that it engenders in me. Because it's pretty dire. Our current situation and in the world, collectively, is pretty dire. It's going to be pretty bad in the next 2 to 3 years or several years. It's pretty bad. And I can't see anything turning it around. Anything. I cannot see anything turning it around. And it's, it's just good. That's Mappo. So of course not. So it just makes me very grateful to have the Dharma, have the teachings. It just naturally, I'm saying the name more. Naturally, I'm thinking of Amida more. Naturally, the teachings are coming to mind. My Dharma dreams are increasing. You've seen that, you'll see that you've seen that through my channel and the different, my dreams, my Dharmic kind of related dreams. So even my dream life, the Buddha is present there, is guiding that. That's so there's a natural urgency to it. There's a natural, it's, for me anyway, I'm not saying this to say, well, you better hurry up, and get on with your path. But you know what? If that's how it strikes you, good. So much the better. Maybe that's Amida's working in your life. Hope, lighting a fire under your ass a bit. It's happened to me. That definitely happened to me at different points in my Jodo Shinshu path, with different things happening in my life or in the world. And more recently was the first pandemic in 2020. To actually the end of 2019. What was going on. At that point, I just was like, wow, this is coming, and that did. And it's a natural thing, though. It's a natural thing that happens. It's not like something you can you can make engender in yourself. It just naturally comes if you if you are immersed, if you understand the teachings, you'll see it. It just will happen. It's just a fact. So anyway, that's all I want to say. Time's almost caught us, my friend, and I feel fine. In that sense, it's the end of the world as we know it, but I feel fine. Anyway, all right. Well, take care, everyone, and Namo Amida Butsu.